Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read you a number of articles, and you might say, well, this hasn't happened yet, and the title is just you speculating. Yeah, it is me speculating, based on what's taking place the past couple of months and the apoplectic, never-ending obsession with Donald Trump. Check out the short, my latest short, explaining how the Honorable Inspector General Michael Horowitz stated in his own words he couldn't imagine the Federal Bureau of Investigation investigating anyone, and he found numerous agents with animus towards Trump. And other admissions of foul play and of just setting up an incoming president. So watch that short. That's below in the description, and that is in the front page of this channel. And also, ladies and gentlemen, before I read, Dow futures fall 200 points. The Dow is tanking today. NASDAQ, the market is tanking. I talk about that on the Stock Market Crash channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel. Hit subscribe to both of those today. I've been telling the world, I predicted all of this in September and October of 2021. Read my Federalist article, it's below in the description. Watch the playlist and subscribe to all three channels. Hit subscribe here. We're almost at 200,000 subs, and it's because of you. Now, missing documents. Los Angeles Times, National Archives asked to determine missing Trump records. CNN, the Justice Department criminal inquiry into Trump taking classified documents to Mar-a-Lago. New York Times, Federal Bureau of Investigation found empty folders that had contained classified documents. Where are they? And then this is a very interesting article, and some people might say, well, what are you talking about? It hasn't happened. And yeah, they went after Mar-a-Lago, but that doesn't mean they're going to go after his other properties. Was Donald Trump the true mastermind of the Mar-a-Lago raid? A visitor to Mar-a-Lago says Trump predicted the Federal Bureau of Investigation raid on his home a year ago, and it came at a pivotal moment for his 2024 presidential campaign. And so it was one of the authors that wrote numerous books on him meeting with Donald Trump and stating that, yeah, Trump actually predicted what was taking place. Now, put two and two together. It is not it's not irrational, and it's actually likely, or it is feasible, that government agencies go after Trump's other properties. Okay, I'm not going to say specifically if it's the Federal Bureau of Investigation or the Department of Justice. They might get another agency after Trump. They want him removed, God forbid, but they want him removed from 2024. Okay, then they get DeSantis, and they still lose. Okay, because we have a recession. We have interest rates going up in a recession. Think about that for a second, and then think about why they need to up the ante, increase the heat on Trump. It's pure politics. It is them going after their direct political rivals. I'm going to say this slowly. For the morally superior, wonderful, highly educated liberal Democrats who are fantastic human beings, aside from their frenzied focus on one man at the expense of the entire country. Okay, we have a recession. We have poverty that has increased from 2019, which was at a record low with Trump. We have household median incomes that have decreased. We had a record high in household median income under Trump. It was a moral imperative to vote for Trump 2 years ago. Okay? Now, if I was a morally superior liberal Democrat, I would say, hell, you get what you want, huh? Look, recession. We have layoffs ahead. We have 401ks and retirement accounts plummeting. If I was the way that I don't have Twitter, I don't have Facebook. Okay, I have my 3 channels, but other than that, I don't have social media. But the way that morally superior liberal Democrats prove that their viewpoint is right is, see, you're suffering. You didn't listen to us. So if you, in 2 years ago, if you knew where we would be today as a country, and you voted for Mashed Potato Brains Joe, would you still have voted for Mashed Potato? would you still have voted for this man knowing that the entire economy is plummeting and we have a geopolitical nightmare in Europe right now and other parts of the world? But I'm going to say this very slowly. So, morally superior, highly educated, wonderful, wonderful liberal Democrats can understand. Everything that you say about Trump, you embody. The authoritarians and the tyrants and the totalitarians are the people who want to silence and suppress any discussion of Hunter's emails, suspend the New York Post. It's the New York Post and the Daily Mail that deserve, and Federalist and other publications like similar publications that deserve Pulitzer Prizes. They go against the grain. They speak truth to power. Not the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC. The same story at all times. Trump bad, Democrats good. Trump bad, Democrats good. Okay? And then you have journalists that have no allegiance towards a political party reporting on the corruption within the Democratic Party. Okay? But when you go after your direct political rivals, when you're accusing Trump of having done that, and New York Democrats, Mueller probe Democrats, Georgia Democrats, D.C. Democrats, federal government, Merrick Garland, Joe Biden was pretending that he doesn't know, what's going on. Okay? Oh, I want to stay out of it. He was implicated in setting up and framing Michael Flynn and going after Trump when he was leaving President Obama's administration, the Oval Office, the White House, and Trump was coming in. And they say that Trump lies so much. Go to the 15 greatest lies that he's told. They have nothing to do with national security. Nothing. If anything, he was saying, I never worked with the Kremlin. What are you talking about? This is nonsense. The lies were leveled at him. The political retribution was leveled at him. There is nothing apolitical about this, nothing nonpartisan. They have leveled. He can't even. He's even banned on most social media platforms. Okay? If he says one thing about one subject, that's it. There are like million sub channels that have had interviews with Donald Trump, and the interview's taken down. I mean, what world are we living in? Where it's the Democratic Party media, Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, MSNBC saying that Trump is an authoritarian, he's a totalitarian, and they're the ones who influence social media algorithms to prevent discussion, to silence debate and discourse, to justify the government going after one man. Why don't you just admit, if you are a morally superior, highly educated, liberal Democrat, beautiful human being, that you have utter contempt for Trump, you can't stand him, and you don't care if they break the law simply to remove him from the presidential contest 2 years from now. You don't care. You'd rather have a recession. You'd rather have the ICBMs, God forbid, flying above. You'd rather have an invasion that wouldn't have happened under Trump because he would have negotiated a deal. That, to prevent what took place, there could have easily been a negotiated settlement or deal before the absolute human tragedy, the geopolitical nightmare took place. And there absolutely could have been. Or at least an attempt by the world superpower, the U.S. And so you go, ladies and gentlemen, and you look, the homes of Donald Trump, 9 minutes in. CNBC, he has homes at Trump Tower, Palm Beach, Bedford, New York, Mar-a-Lago, Palm Beach, Rancho Palos Verdes, Trump Global Estate, where is that? Okay, so he has a number of places where, according to Merrick Garland and Democrats, he could have hidden Durham probe documents about Clinton's emails, documents about 2 years ago, classified data. The National Archives could come out tomorrow and say, he has the launch codes. He has it. He lost them. And everyone would believe it. former current U.S. officials say. There is no more journalism. There's journalism, but the truth and the reality of things is not what the prevailing paradigm wants to hear. Just like it wasn't 2 years ago. People against the grain 2 years ago were right. We'll leave it at that. Okay? People against the grain 20 years ago were right regarding WMD and Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. I was against the grain in 2016 regarding a topic that was not as serious as the two I just mentioned, but I said Clinton would lose to Trump, and she did. And we've never heard the end of it. And I was mocked, and they tried to put me down. Their hit pieces. I'm like, well, my writing was shared hundreds of thousands of times in The Hill, the Huffington Post Salon in 2016, and other publications. I was on CNN, MSNBC. I told the world that Democrats are going to lose. And they didn't want to hear it. Nobody wanted to hear it. And so the hit pieces, they were, that comes with the territory. You still, thankfully, I have almost 200,000, we have over 200,000 subscribers on this channel. Hit subscribe. But they write hit pieces because they can't counter your argument, because you're right. Okay? Nobody's writing a hit piece on a very popular Washington Post journalist or a very popular Hollywood celebrity against Trump. They're not writing hit pieces. That's not the way the public relations monstrosity works. If you have a Joe Rogan or an Aaron Rodgers or Kanye West, if you have somebody who speaks truth to power, actually goes against the grain. At one point, for a moment, you had Bernie Sanders, but then that was perhaps an act. He was just always a tool of the Democratic Party. Probably a good human being, great family man, but you know what? Cheated and didn't say anything about it. Trump did a lot of great things for this country. Great economy, record highs in household median income, record low in poverty in 2019, according to CNN. And all the data showed that everyone was doing better. Case closed. No more argument. There is no rebuttal to that. Oh, he did this, and he's ruining democracy. These are all like philosophical, idealistic, esoteric discussions that revolve around one's sensibilities. The morally superior among us can take their sensibilities and place them in a place where the sun doesn't shine. Nobody cares if you're offended by Trump, because you're not offended by mashed potato brains Joe, who said and done worse, from the 94 crime bill to voting alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld to what he said to Charlemagne the God. He's done infinitely worse. And then you have these buzzwords and these phrases, this demographic or frontline communities, you have the left-leaning politicians, indigenous people. Everyone's doing worse under this president, this Democrat. Everyone is doing worse. Objectively, the numbers, the economy, it's tanking. Geopolitics, tanking. We have inflation and recession everywhere. And it's because 2 years ago, we just gave up all rational thought and said, you know what, the morally superior, highly educated experts around the world, multinational organizations, telling us what we should do. My goodness, it's for our benefit. And now look, it's not a coincidence that you have every country that shut down their economies now in recession with record highs in inflation. You'd have to be a complete imbecile not to realize what took place. And now the same people who said shut down your economies, the same people who said Clinton will win in a landslide, and then who lost, and then said Trump was a Kremlin operative, and the same people 20 years ago who said, oh yes, WMD, these are all the same people. They're just like clapping seals or just lemmings. They just sheep. They just believe whatever the prevailing mentality is, and they're usually wrong. There is no such thing as a consensus when you suppress discussion and dialogue and debate and discourse. Then you're just forcing a viewpoint through doublespeak and through intimidation, and you have a whole lot of people believing that, and anyone who could counter the argument has been silenced or intimidated. And then you say, well, the prevailing mentality is, the consensus is, all the smartest people believe. And you've not even progressed from a 9th grade, 10th grade high school class. It's the same thing. So this is all like stuff you learn growing up. Like, yeah, just because the coolest kids in the school believe something, that doesn't mean that it's right. And like, if the polite society doesn't like Trump or DeSantis or politicians similar to Trump and DeSantis around the world, well, polite society is rich. They're wealthy. They don't care if there's a recession. You think the morally superior, wonderful, highly educated, wealthy liberal Democrats in Hollywood or throughout the country in Martha's Vineyard, who couldn't stand 50 wonderful human beings adding culture and to their community within a day or two, military plane immediately. When push comes to shove, Democrats turn into Trump Republicans. It just takes a little time. Takes one little moment like that. Okay? Oh, they'll spend $30,000 on the security detail. Oh, they will definitely own firearms, but they'll tell you not to. Just like a Southern California Democrat burglarized, and oh, by the way, the burglars took firearms. Who knew that Democrats own firearms? Of course they do. Oh, but it's not the ones that they... Yeah. Then it's always back to the sensibilities. Well, it's true, but it's not the... But you don't need that. This is your opinion. Leave your opinion aside, my God. Everything revolves around what they like, what they feel is rational. But when push comes to shove, Democrats turn into Trump Republicans immediately. But they do so with public relations, with media, trying their best to hide the hypocrisy. It's called hypocrisy. Anyway, you might say, I'm 17 minutes. He didn't even talk about the specific, properties. Right? What do you... Very likely, it's feasible that a scenario where they raid another Trump property or Mar-a-Lago again takes place. They don't have anything on the men. That's why they haven't indicted him after an apoplectic, frenzied quest to get him. They haven't indicted him. And they might, in 23, they might indict an innocent man like they set up an innocent man. Trump was innocent, and he's being persecuted, and he's being tormented. But you have to understand, they view him to be a devourer of worlds, so anything's justified with Trump. Even though we had the Doha Agreement, first president to step foot in North Korea, he allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever, and also to the wealthy liberal Democrats who are wonderful human beings. We had record highs in household median income. We had a record low in poverty. Yes, we know you care about poor people, so much so that Biden and Democrats presiding over greater poverty. But he did a lot of good for the country. So, but he did good in a manner that they don't accept. He didn't worship prevailing mentalities and multinational organizations and alliances. He didn't worship these things. He didn't want to do away with them like they accuse him of. That's nonsense. But he didn't worship. He doesn't worship political correctness. And so that's his sin. And he also defeated Clinton. And I think Hillary's going to run again, and God bless her. I hope she does. Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, 2024. I would love that. I'd vote for Trump a million times over. Hey, Hillary could win. You never know. There's no shame in losing twice to Trump. So, I think that she would lose, but whatever. She could win. Who knows? I would love the country just as much, but we wouldn't have a good foreign policy, and we'd have a prolonged economic downturn. What we have now is we could be flirting with a depression. Okay, that's how serious this is, and I've been telling it the world since 2021. Sorry, in September. Give me your thoughts below, and I'm in my Federalist article. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I'll have a live stream tonight or today. I'm not sure. I might probably do an earlier live stream today. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now to this channel. Watch the shorts on this channel. If you want to give a super thanks to the shorts, it'd be greatly appreciated.